So Ukraine has an inherent right to choose its own destiny. That was a statement from European leaders released just a few hours ago, just 3 days before the US President Donald Trump is due to meet his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. The statement welcoming the peace efforts of Trump, but stressing that a just and lasting peace must respect international law, including the principles of independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and that international borders must not be changed by force. Still unclear if, as European leaders want, Vladimir Zelensky will be at the meeting himself. Zelensky, though, already not optimistic about the outcome.
There is no sign that the Russians are preparing for a post-war situation. On the contrary, they are moving their troops and forces to launch new offensive operations.
Vladimir Zelensky, well, International Affairs Editor Philip Turle is with me. Philip, there are real fears, aren't they, that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are going to meet. They're going to come to an agreement that is just totally unacceptable to Ukrainians.
I think the fear, not only in Ukraine, but also in European capitals, is that this is going to be a meeting between uniquely Donald Trump on one side and Vladimir Putin on the other. And Donald Trump is going to say, look, we need an end to the war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's going to say, yes, well, if you give me the 4 territories that I want in Ukraine, 4 provinces plus Crimea, which I invaded in 2014, you prevent Ukraine from joining NATO or the European Union, and it's demilitarized, then we can reach some kind of an agreement. This is not going to happen, of course, because the Ukrainians have made it pretty clear they're not willing to hand over territory. And that is the crux of the matter. What does this exchange of territories actually mean that Donald Trump has alluded to? Because as things stand right now, the Ukrainians have no idea about what territory they want to exchange because they have no eyes on any territory in Russia. The only territory that they have been into since the start of the war was in Kursk, but that was only to take the attention off the advance of Russian forces in the east of Ukraine and didn't really have any effect. So there are a lot of uncertainties. There is a lot of concern that what is going to happen here is that we're going to see Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin coming to some kind of an agreement and then putting the pressure on Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, say, look, this is the agreement, take it or leave it. And then when Zelensky refuses, Zelensky will be pinpointed as being someone who is responsible for the continuation of the war. So I think that is the concern that is coming from the Ukrainians, certainly, and also from the Europeans. What they want is a ceasefire deal that Ukraine has already agreed to, and then for negotiations to take place on the future status of Ukraine and the handing back of the territories that Russia has already conquered.
I mean, it really shows the divisions, isn't it? All 3 of these men have their agendas. I mean, basically, they're all on completely different wavelengths, aren't they?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. If you look at Donald Trump, he wants a quick deal. Remember, he said that this was going to be settled in 24 hours when he was out campaigning to become president of the United States last year. Well, we're months into his presidency, still no agreement on ending the war in Ukraine. So it's much more complicated than what Donald Trump thought it was going to be. And he wants the Nobel Peace Prize as the great peacemaker of the world. That's really what he is after here. He just wants to also play into what Vladimir Putin wants because he knows that Putin is the strong man and Zelensky is the weak man. As far as Putin is concerned, well, he doesn't want to just stop there. He wants to take over the whole of Ukraine. So it's unlikely that he will accept a peace deal where he just keeps hold of 4 territories in Ukraine and goes no further. That's also led to concern in the European Union that if there is no peace deal concerning a handing back of territories, this could lead to conflict further down the line when Russia has time to rebuild its armed forces and then launch another attack into Ukraine. And then Volodymyr Zelensky, well, he wants an end to the war. He wants the territory handed back. So when you look at the 3 leaders together and the fact that Europe and Volodymyr Zelensky are not going to be present at these talks, it's looking increasingly precarious and unlikely that any kind of peace deal can be worked out in Alaska. This is just going to be a showmanship photo opportunity for Donald Trump and for Vladimir Putin to meet together in the hopes for Donald Trump that he's a step closer to getting that Nobel Peace Prize, and for Putin that he's going to avoid sanctions from the United States against Russian enterprises.
Philip, thanks so much. Philip Turle, International Affairs Editor for us.